We have our first actual week of football starting, and it's time to do some picks for who's going to win this week. First things first, though, I wanted to cover some of the news that's been going around the league. We have our first actual trade. I gave Golden Tate and McCoy up for Freeman. I guess on paper, I can see how this is an awful trade for me. I gave a wide receiver 2 and an RB1 for an RB1. I believe in that Atlanta O-line. I feel like I don't see a lot of teams that are just knocking everyone down for their running back to easily walk in for a touchdown. What I'm hoping to get out of the trade is, a younger running back with a much better offensive line and team around him. I just wanted to have someone other than McCoy. That's why the trade was made on my end. Taking a look at Cole, McKinnon is out for the season. And the last play of practice, he tore his ACL, season-ending injury. It was $39 player for him. Just a dollar less than Cook is RB1. So yeah, this is why I had him a little higher in the rankings, is because he did have some depth. So we'll see if Adrian Peterson can hold out until Aaron Jones gets back. I know he made some other moves on the waiver wire since then to help out with this, but definitely a big blow to take before week 1. All right, now let's get into the actual matchups here. I'm just going to go through each of these one by one. I should be doing this every week. Some weeks I'll have people on with me to kind of go through the different picks. And I also have a few people selected we'll get into later that are going to do picks every week with me, and we'll kind of have a tally. All right, so the first one, the commissioner versus the war hero. He, as we'd said in the news just recently, he lost McKinnon. So his RB2 is gone. He put in Adrian Peterson. His flex is Sammy Watkins and Aguilar versus my Allen Robinson and Corey Davis. For me, I think I will win this week. Can Odell have a huge game to help him week 1? Yeah, Baldwin's versus Sanders. I think that we're all wondering kind of on Doug Baldwin, where's he at health-wise? He's not going to be 100%, but what does 75% Doug Baldwin look like? So, I could see how he wins. He definitely needs that huge game from Odell week 1 to kind of help himself out. But yeah, I think I've lucked out a little bit. He got that injury. He hasn't had a whole lot of time to make trades or adjustments through the free agency to better his team. So I think my week 1 will be a win. Going on to the next matchup, we have last year's champ versus the wild card, Thomas Peterson. This one was kind of a hard matchup for me. I think a lot of people just easily pick Thomas to win this one. He does have Christian McCaffrey and Todd Gurley versus Gordon and Crowell. But I'm not a huge Juju Smith-Schuster believer. So DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green, I think, will massively outscore Demaryius Thomas and Juju. So I think this one's closer than a lot of other people are saying. And this is, again, a lot of biases. I think Greg Olsen kind of washed up versus Reed, who I know he never stays healthy, but it is week 1. So hopefully he gets out there and has a big game week 1. For me, Crowell, I thought, was a serviceable RB2 last year. He had his moments, but I see the Jets as a worse opportunity, especially that offensive line. I think his opportunity overall is lessened because I think Bilal Powell is going to be eating into those yards. So for me, I look at this. I can't trust Crowell to get it done. I'm going to go ahead and pick Thomas to win this matchup for week 1. All right, this one is really not that close at all to me. I think Joe wins this matchup, and he was number 1 team after the draft. So I don't think it's too big of a surprise that I have him beating Vince. I do like Vince's team. For me, Vince's team falls a little behind once you start getting to the flex. Robert Woods and Devontae Booker versus Crabtree and Jamal Williams. Kelsey versus Rudolph. Kelsey gets that San Francisco matchup, which is so nice. Vince's wide receiver 2 is Cameron Meredith. At Tampa Bay, though, I don't know. To me, Joe's team is just clearly built from top to bottom on the starting lineup. I don't see any holes. I feel like it would be hard for anyone week 1 to be picked over his team. Next, we have the Brondos battle, Jason versus Caleb, week 1 right away. Get to play each other. Andrew Brondos obviously has the wide receiver and tight end matchups. He took Gronk. He has Antonio Brown, so he's pretty strong there. Caleb has the quarterback, I think, Aaron Rodgers at Chicago. And then I would say Caleb has the running back battle. Le'Veon Bell and Joe Mixon are looking a lot better than J.J. and Coleman. So this one was pretty hard for me to pick. It's split. I think a lot of people would go towards Caleb, but I'm gonna zig where others zagged. I'm gonna take Jason Brandos to get an upset here and somehow pull off a victory. Next we have Matt Erdman versus Mike Bishop. For this matchup, it's pretty close to me. I don't love Russell Wilson versus that Denver defense. Not that I'm a huge like Deshaun Watson truther. I think I'm lower on him than most people, but he did well versus New England last year. We'll see how their defense is now that they have a new defensive coordinator. I don't know. This one's just overall really close for me. When you're looking at this team, it's coming down to the flex position, which most people have two good running backs and two good wide receivers. That's not impossible for people to put together on their team. But then when you get down to the flex, I think that's a real difference maker as far as these matchups go. Cooper Kupp and Carlos Hyde. I really love Hyde versus Pittsburgh matchup. I think he's going to get a good amount of carries. So, when you have Carlos Hyde versus Josh Gordon, I would bet on Hyde. I think Cooper Kupp, very reliable. And I don't think Peyton Barber will score nearly as much as Cooper Kupp unless he's somehow getting a lot of touchdowns and goal line work. I see Tampa Bay getting destroyed by New Orleans. So this one I'm going to have to go with Matt to beat Mike. Next we have Brian versus Brandon. On this one, I give Brian the edge on quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. For me, it seems he has a better team in that entire area. The flex is close enough, but I think Brian comes ahead here. So for my pick, I'll take Brian. This is probably a little closer than I'm making it sound, but just for me, it's a lot of personal preferences, and I like Brian's team more. All right, so like I said, we were going to do picks this year. Myself, Caleb, Josh, and Thomas are going to be picking all 6 matchups every single week, and we're going to see who is the best at predicting these games. It's not as much fun when I'm just doing it by myself. I don't have anyone to compare it to, so it's nice to make it a little bit of a competition. And just to go over it with everyone here, there's a couple of games this week there where everyone was in agreement. That was for me to beat Cole. I think we can all assume that's because of the McKinnon injury. And then unanimously, and this one was kind of a surprise to me, everyone has Joe beating Vince. But yeah, all the other matchups were only one other person would disagree normally. I'll call out the oddball picks here. Thomas was the only person that thinks Josh will beat Thomas this week. I was the only person who picked Jason to beat Caleb this week. I was also the only person to pick Brian to beat Brandon this week. And Josh was the only person that has Mike beating Matt. That's the picks for this week. I wish everyone the best of luck, except if you're facing me, which is Cole. He's already had enough bad luck this week. So, see you guys next week.